client testified in that. Let's see if he said he heard it.
And Your Honor, just for sake of efficiency, what I have done, we have left in all 4 objectionable passages for now. We figure you can resolve that.
I can sort through what I've let in and what I haven't.
That'll save us from having to try to extract it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may post it up to that. Need to turn the lights down, please.
Michael Glenn Thompson. Where do you currently reside? 70 Ferguson Road, Piedmont. Who lives there with you? My wife. What is her name? Bonnie. Anyone else live there with you? And Bonnie? Our cat. Do you have any college degrees? Yes. What are your college degrees? I have an Associate of Science in Engineering Technology. I have a Bachelor of Science in Organizational Management. And I have a Master's in Business Administration. Where did you get your associate's degree? From what school? Richmond Community College. Is that Richmond, Virginia? No, it's Richmond County. Okay. As in North Carolina. And where did you get your Bachelor of Science degree? Tusculum, T-U-S-C-U-L-U-M College. That's in Greenville with the E, Greeneville, Tennessee. Okay. And then where did you get your MBA? Harrogate, I'm sorry, back up. Lincoln Memorial University. Their main campus is in Harrogate, Tennessee. However, I attended the satellite campus in Knoxville, Tennessee. Did you go get your MBA directly after you received your bachelor's degree? Or did you work somewhere first? No, I graduated June, give me a minute, 96. With my bachelor's. That December, I started my master's, and 18 months after that, I graduated with my master's. Okay, already 98, June 98. Where did you go for employment after you received your master's degree? I was going to night school. I attended night school and working full-time with Philips Consumer Electronics. That's located in Knoxville, well, I say was located in Knoxville, Tennessee. Worked full-time there while attending night school, earning a bachelor's and a master's degree. That company subsequently closed down and relocated partially to Atlanta, and other departments relocated throughout the country. And then after Philips Consumer Electronics, I came to work for the Robert Bosch Corporation in Anderson, South Carolina. And what did you do for Bosch? I worked in the purchasing department as a senior buyer. I managed the active electronic components, so that's what I was hired to do. And then I was soon after reporting in given the packaging commodity also. I had a total of $56 million worth of materials, commodities that I managed. And about how long did you do that for Bosch? About how many years? 4 years, a few months. And what caused you to leave Bosch? There was a reduction in force, and I was given a severance package and then left. And that was in 2004? Yes. After you left Bosch in 2004, where did you go for work? Self-employed as a real estate agent. I am was, I should say, an independent contractor. And I work for Century 21 officers in Anderson. I wanted the Century 21 officers in Anderson. There were two, but there was only one.
Did you already have a real estate license when you left Bosch?
No, when I left Bosch, I went to school here in Greenville at the Wyatt School of Real Estate. And took the test, I think in February of 05, and started practicing in 05, February of 05.
And what do you do now for a living? What do you do today?
I still have a license to sell real estate, but I don't pursue it. So I'm basically unemployed from a cash flow perspective.
How long would you say that's been the case, that you've been basically unemployed?
I have not sold a property since fall of last year.
Fall of 2010?
That sounds about right.
And while you were serving as a real estate agent, as an independent contractor for Century 21, were you paid entirely on a commission basis?
Yes.
When you left Bosch, how much were you making roughly?
$62,730 and change. Is that close enough?
That's pretty close. And so,
Pray for those days to return.
I would assume then, tell me if I'm wrong, but after you left Bosch, your income declined significantly.
That's a good assumption.
Have you ever made $62,000 in a year since you left Bosch?
No, sir.
What's the most you recall making while serving as a real estate agent? Roughly.
30, low 30s.
And were you able to make that consistently since you started work as a real estate agent?
No, sir.
So that was one of your better years?
Yes, sir.
You, at some point, you ran for county council in Anderson County, correct?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
The first time?
Yeah, when did you run and when were you elected? The first time.
I ran in the primary, the Republican primary of, I think in June or July. I won that election, and then I was sworn into office the following January.
January 1, 2005 is when you started.
I've been third, fourth. It was on a Sunday when we were sworn in.
And you served as a county councilman until when? So you started in January 2005 and you ended in
January 2009. Technically, I'm still in office until my replacement is sworn in, and he was sworn in January 2009.
Okay. If I got your history right, then you went to the Wyatt School of Real Estate after you started serving as a county councilman. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
So you already had done the Wyatt School of Real Estate before you were sworn in as a county councilman?
Yes, I went to the Wyatt School of Real Estate after the primary already had my classwork out of the way, got sworn in that January, and then that following February, I came here to a testing center and took the test.
Okay. Do you have to do anything to maintain your real estate license in South Carolina?
4 hours of continuous education per year.
Do you have to pay any kind of license fee?
Yes, there is a license fee. I don't remember what it is.
Is that an annual fee?
Yes, member of the real estate association to sell real estate. You get more support, and I think there's a fee in there for that, but I'm really not sure. No, I'm going to retract that. We pay our fees directly to the LLR. So, can I say I don't know for sure?
Is that an annual fee?
Yes, to be a member of the real estate association, to sell real estate, you get more support, and I think there's a fee in there for that, but I'm really not sure. No, I'm going to retract that. We pay our fees directly to the LLR. So, can I say I don't know for sure?
For the 4 hours of continuous education that you have to get each year to maintain your real estate license, do you have to pay for those courses?
Yes.
Do you pay for them yourself?
Yes.
Have you always paid for them yourself?
Yes.
Did you ever ask Anderson County to pay for any continuing education course for you to maintain your real estate license?
No, thank you.
Did you ever ask Anderson County to pay for your annual or whatever, your license fee to maintain your license as a realtor?
No,
Why not?
it's not county business.
Would you agree that it would not be appropriate for you to try to charge Anderson County for you to maintain your real estate license?
I would agree, yes.
Have you ever been charged with a crime?
No,
Ever been convicted of a crime? You had an honorable discharge from the Navy, is that correct?
yes, sir.
Your real estate license, is that only for residential real estate transactions, or is it also commercial?
I can do, like, so any real estate that's on the market.
Okay. Have you ever been involved in any real estate transaction that included Anderson County as a party? Have you ever been a member of a civic organization? Like the Lion Club?
Yes,
What have you been a member of?
I can't think of her name.
Was it in Anderson County?
Yes,
What kind of club was it? Or was it a club, or was it?
it was like the Lions Club, but it has a different name. They meet at the
Just the Rotary?
Rotary.
Any other civic organization that you can think of that you're a member of other than the Rotary?
Are you including nonprofits?
Yeah.
I was on the board of directors of CELSA.
Okay.
You want to go to that?
No, that's okay. Do you recall who paid for meals at the Stroll Club when you went there?
Mr. Preston?
And you recall whether or not those meals were reimbursed by the county?
I do not know that. It was my understanding that he always paid with his personal credit card.
Do you recall ever trying to prepare a letter on behalf of Joey Preston concerning an ethics complaint against Cindy Wilson?
I did not do it on behalf of Joey. I did it on behalf of myself.
Okay. Do you recall preparing a letter on behalf of yourself then concerning an ethics complaint against Cindy Wilson?
Yes.
What was that about? What do you recall that being about?
The county was buying right-of-ways to put in, I think it's water, Beaver Dam Water Project. And that project ran through the Wilson's property. And it's my understanding from looking at the data that Ms. Wilson took information that she obtained as a member of council and negotiated a higher price on behalf of her and her family. you just look at the numbers, you can see there was obviously an obvious increase when it comes to her family's property. And I thought that was a ethics violation. So I presented to Mr. Hayden, somebody down in the Ethics Commission, and to get his opinion on
Well, I'm going to show you, Mr. Thompson, what's that, what I marked as exhibit number 2. And it looks like you were complaining, among other things, that Ms. Wilson should have excused herself from all actions on the Beaver Dam Sewer project because of a conflict of interest. Was that your opinion at the time?
it. Yeah, from what I was seeing, she took information that she obtained as a council member and used it for her financial gain or her family's financial gain.
That relates to ethics, and that is something to do with Mr. Preston, who used his personal credit card for a local transaction, and then Ms. Wilson obtained this credit card number. You recall that?
Yes, Ms. Wilson took Mr. Preston's personal credit card number and distributed among her followers, which was probably in some sort of association with the Taxpayers Association, and to the media. The Independent Mail is coming to mind because it was on the Independent Mail's website.
Referring to there?
Yes, I'm referring to here.
Okay.
Sometime during the process, we were receiving anonymous letters, basically threatening members of council. I believe they came from the Taxpayers Association, but there was no hardcore proof. So that may have something to do with it, but I can't really say.
How much will you pay as a county council member in 2008?
The annual salary for a county council member is $8,930 per year. It did not change the entire time I was on council.
Okay. And then at some point, moving on to the next question, you became the chair of county council, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you recall what, and that's a one-year term generally?
The vote for the chairmanship is taken once per year. The chair can get reelected if that's the will of the council, shown by a majority vote. But normally you just serve 1 year and then someone else gets it.
And you served as chair of Anderson County Council for the year 2008, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that for a calendar year?
Yes, sir.
What were your responsibilities as chair of Anderson County Council?
I presided over the council meetings. I made committee appointments. I represented the county in community functions. I signed documents on the county's behalf.
And were you aware of, or did you become familiar with any procedural rules that you were supposed to follow as county council chair?
Procedural rules, the Robert's Rules of Order.
That'd be one example.
Yes.
For how to run a meeting, for example.
The Robert Rules, we followed the Robert's Rules of Order.
What about any requirements of FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, with respect to county meetings?
Yes, I'm a little familiar with FOIA.
Okay. And are there any rules or procedures that govern how you're supposed to set the agenda for a county council meeting?
There is a county ordinance that says how the agenda is to be laid out, but in practice, usually the chairman arranges the agenda however he or she sees fit.
How did you become aware that there was an ordinance that talked about how the agenda for county council meetings was to be set?
Discussing it with the clerk and reading the ordinance myself.
So is that something you did while you served as the chair of county council?
Yes, sir.
And why did you try to familiarize yourself with that ordinance?
I just wanted to do a good job.
Does that same ordinance have provisions that talk about when members of county council should and should not vote on issues before the council?
I don't recall. Normally, if you have a conflict of interest, you will recuse yourself, or if you have any questions regarding an issue, you go to county attorney and ask for his advice, and whatever he advises you, you take that advice.
So would it be fair to say that if you have a concern about whether or not you should vote on a particular issue, one of the ways you can resolve the concern is to go to the county attorney and ask about that?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever do that while you served as county council chair?
Lots.
About whether or not you individually, whether you should vote on an issue?
Yes.
Give me an example, if you would, of an issue where you went to the county council, a county attorney, about whether you should vote.
My homeowners association sued the county to get a road paved. And since technically it would be profiting me, for me to get that road paved, I asked for advice.
And what do you recall the advice being? Should you
I
vote or not?
recused myself.
That was an issue where the county was deciding whether or not to pave a road that would affect your community where you lived?
My homeowners association, my subdivision, yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any estimate as to what value that would have brought you personally if they had paved that road?
None.
Not even incidental value for having new streets paved?
Maybe my property value would have went up a couple of dollars because the road 2 streets over was paved.
But that was a sufficient enough area of concern that you asked the county attorney whether you should vote on that issue.
Objection.
And the county attorney told you not to vote.
When I written out, recused.
And that's what you actually did. You recused yourself from that vote.
Yes.
Did you ever seek employment with Anderson County other than your service as a council member?
Yes.
How did that come about?
I was thinking of coming off the council while I was serving as chairman. I went to Joey Preston, informing him of this, and then asking if he would be interested in hiring me, hire me to work for the county. He expressed that he would. During the conversation, he brought up that Mr. Freeman, who is the county assessor, has announced that he is tarrying, and that with my master's degree in business and my real estate background, I will be a good fit for the assessor's office. But there's a requirement or something to do with appraisal courses that he felt that I should take. And so months later, I pursued those courses.
Do you recall roughly when this meeting was with Mr. Preston, or when you had this discussion with Mr. Preston about your interest in county employment?
March. 08? Was it 08?
Okay. Okay.
I think so.
This may help, this may help refresh your memory. Let me just show you something.
March the 4th, 2008. March the 4th, 2008. March the 4th, 2008.
What is this document that we're looking at as Exhibit 4?
Okay, as I just said, Jordan recommended me taking some appraisal courses. Mr. Preston had Mr. Freeman to provide me some information regarding appraisal information.
Is that what's
Miss-
attached to this email?
No, sir.
Oh,
Mr. Freeman created a notebook, and it had all the requirements in it about LR requirements to do appraisal.
what was your understanding, if any, as to the relationship between appraiser courses and service as an assessor?
I just needed the courses.
You just needed the courses for what? Like, why did you think, if the assessor course, I'm sorry, if the appraisal courses don't relate to being an assessor, why did you need the appraisal courses?
Mr. Preston suggested that I need some appraisal courses to justify my appointment or my move into the assessor's office.
Okay.
So I was, okay, whatever you think I need, just tell me and I'll take it.
Okay. And this happened, this discussion with Mr. Preston happened somewhere around March of 2008. Is that fair?
That's what she-
Did Mr. Preston promise you a job at any point in time?
During that conversation, he said that he would be glad to hire me into the county.
Did you take that as a promise from Mr. Preston that you would be employed by the county at some point in the future?
Yes, sir.
So, was it your understanding then that when you had this initial conversation with Mr. Preston in around March of 2008, that you were being considered by him to take over for Mr. Freeman as assessor sometime within the next 5 years?
My understanding at the time.
Ultimately, you did take 7 courses that relate to being an appraiser in South Carolina. Is that fair?
Yes, I did take it, yes.
And the county paid for those courses, correct?
Yes.
How did those courses help you in your job as county council chairperson?
None,
None whatsoever.
none.
Did they
It was
help?
in preparation to be a county employee in the assessor's office.
Okay, and that's, I thought I asked this already, and I apologize, but I thought you said that you do not understand there to be any connection necessarily between those appraiser courses and service as an assessor, other than what Mr. Preston told you. Is that fair?
Yeah. Basically, the assessor is a manager, so he would manage an office. But, okay, well, he would probably have to have knowledge of real estate, but I would already have that. And he would have to have knowledge of the, of how to appraise a piece of property. But as a real estate agent, I already knew how to take comps and put a value in a piece of property. But appraisers do it a little bit differently. So if I can recant my previous.
So it's sort of foundational knowledge that might help you.
Yeah, I would agree with a foundational knowledge.
But in terms of your service as a county council person or as county council chair, you agree that those appraiser courses did nothing to assist you in your job in that regard?
Yes, I would agree to that.
At the time, in around March of 2008, when you discussed with Mr. Preston your potential employment with Anderson County, how was your real estate business doing?
It was okay.
Were you weren't making as much money as you had made at Bosch at that point, were you?
Oh, good.
And nothing, you didn't ultimately start taking these appraisal courses till sometime later in 2008.
That's correct.
In the meantime, your initial thought in early 2008 was that you were going to come off the county council. You were not going to run for re-election. Is that
That's correct.
Did you have any kind of conversation with Mr. Preston about your decision not to run for re-election?
In March, when I told him I was coming off of council, or was thinking of coming off of council, asking him if he would consider me as a new hire, he said yes. And he said he would be glad to take me, or hire me, I should say.
And at some point, you decided to run for reelection, is that fair, in 2008?
Yes, I did.
How did that change of heart come about? Because initially you were wanting to come off,
Yes.
then you changed your mind.
Mr. Preston just asked me if I would consider running one more time.
And based on his interest in you running again, you agreed to run again?
Yes.
At some point, would you agree that you asked Mr. Preston for assistance in raising funds for your reelection campaign?
Yes.
Let me show you what's marked as exhibit number 5. Does that appear to be an email, or let me ask it this way, once you're done looking at it, is that an email that you wrote to Mr. Preston on May 22nd, 2008?
Yes, it is.
Does it appear to be a request for help from him in raising funds for your reelection?
Yes, it is.
Did he help you?
Yes, he did.
What did he do to help you raise funds?
He raised funds.
Do you recall anything particular that he was able to do for you that you couldn't do yourself in raising funds?
He knows people that I don't know, has contacts that I don't have, and he was able to raise funds.
Okay. And did you see the results of that effort by Mr. Preston in funds that you actually raised?
Yes, yes, I received funds.
What I'm trying to figure out is, just sitting here right now, do you remember in particular anybody who gave money to your campaign in 2008 that you believe gave money because of their connection with Mr. Preston?
No, sir. I can't say off the top of my head.
Did you have any connection with Marshall Carruthers?
I know Marshall
How do you know him?
through my work on the county council.
Did you know him before you got on the council?
No.
You agree, though, that Mr. Preston did help you in finding donors for your campaign in 2008, correct?
Yes.
In or about March of 2008, I think you said in or about March of 2008, you talked to Mr. Preston about the possibility of not running for re-election, correct?
Yes.
And you also talked to him about the possibility of coming to work for the county, is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. Preston urged you to run for re-election, among other things.
Yes.
And at some point, according to exhibit number 5, you asked Mr. Preston for help raising funds, correct?
Yes.
Can you say with any certainty one way or another whether any of these donors gave you money because Preston spoke with them or not?
No, I sent out letters, fundraising letters, I would say, to all of these people. I know all of them, most of them, because of my work on the council. So I cannot say, it was because of Joey one way or the other. Because this is 2008, I had already served on the council about 3 years, and I already know these people. So I can't say that it was because of Joey that these people gave.
And in the spring of 2008, you did ask Mr. Preston for help raising funds, correct?
Yeah, just for the record, he chewed my butt out over that letter. He said, don't send that stuff on county email. It was some kind of violation or something, so I never did it again. Well, he didn't chew me out, he just scolded me.
Right.
Okay, I think that's a better way of saying it.
By March of 2008, you had already indicated an interest in working for the county, is that right?
March 2000. Yes, sir.
And the newspaper asked you in June of 2008 if you had an interest in a county job, and you lied to them, correct?
Yes, I did.
Why did you lie to the newspaper about your interest in a county job in June of 2008?
It's a personnel issue, and you don't discuss personnel issues to the public.
In August, and you may not remember this, and I can show you a document if you don't, but in about August of 2008, we have some indication that you asked Mr. Preston again about taking those appraisal requests. Does that sound like about the right time frame?
Yes, there was a advertisement on, well, there was an advertisement in the Independent Mail about an assistant purchasing manager's position. And then I looked on the county website, and that same posting was on the county website. And I applied for that position and copied Joey. Okay.
Now, as you mentioned, I'm going to hand you what's marked as exhibit number 7. See if you can just identify what that is.
Yeah, this is the assistant purchasing manager job advertisement. Yes, sir.
And this is something that you applied for, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
And when you applied for it, you agree you copied Mr. Preston.
Yes, yes.
Why did you copy Mr. Preston?
He wants to know all our actions when we interact with the staff, the county employees.
Let me show you what's marked.
Okay.
Okay, would you agree with me that exhibit number 8 is an email between Joey Preston and you and Kathy Fulbright, dated August 14, 2008?
You said exhibit 8?
Yes, this should be.
No, it's from me.
It's actually 2 emails.
Yes, it's 2 emails. It's 2 emails to Kathy from me, copying Joey. Like to me, Kathy. Okay, so it's 2 emails.
Okay, and one of them is from you to Joey, one from you to Kathy Fulbright with a copy to Joey, like you said.
From me to, yes, from me to Kathy, copying Joey.
And the second one on the very top is from Joey Preston to you and Kathy Fulbright.
Yes, yes.
And the one from Joey Preston tells Kathy that this is to remain confidential.
Yes.
Why did it have to be confidential that you were applying for this job?
I have no knowledge, unless it has to do with personnel issues.
Did you ever talk with Mr. Preston about whether or not your interest in county employment should remain confidential?
No.
Did you believe it should remain confidential, that you were
Yes.
looking for a job?
It's a personnel issue. Don't disclose personnel issues to the public.
What happened with this particular job, this assistant purchasing manager position? I take it you did not get that job.
Joey and I had a conversation. He said he had some people to promote, okay? And whoever he was promoting was getting this job. But that was going to create a vacancy, in purchasing, but lower down. And he recommended that I apply for it was a buyer's position.
So let me make sure I understand you then. It sounds like Mr. Preston talked to you about the fact that because of this assistant purchasing manager position and a promotion that might happen within purchasing, that a different job as a buyer might open up sometime in the future.
Yeah, you promote one person up and where that person's leaving from is vacant.
Did you talk to Mr. Preston about whether or not you might be hired into the position that was about to become vacant?
Yes. I just needed a job.
Okay. Did you express an interest in that job?
Yes,
to Mr.
I did.
Preston?
I applied for that job too.
Do you remember when that job came open? Roughly?
No.
It wasn't in August of 2008 though, was it?
It would have been, no, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
But when you applied for this job, the one that you did not get,
Assistant purchasing, okay.
in August of 2008, did you have any understanding from Mr. Preston that you would get a subsequent job as a buyer in the purchasing department?
Yes, it was my understanding that I was I was going to have a position in purchasing.
And that's based on what Mr. Preston told you.
Yes.
And at that point, you needed a job, didn't you?
I remember. Can we back up?
Oh, yeah, sure.
There was an ad, I don't know the date. I can't remember the date. But there was a buyer's position advertised, I'm thinking on the county website. Okay. And I copied Joey again, okay? And I also spoke with Joey in person about this. He told me, he instructed Robert Carroll, who is the director of something or something, under which purchasing falls, okay? To give him the three most qualified applicants that apply for this purchasing buyer's job. I was the number one pick because I was the only one that had purchasing experience, 9 years by the way, and I have an MBA. So if you just go by qualifications alone, you know, I beat everybody out. So I was assured just from that conversation that I was going to have at least a buyer's job. I can't remember if it was at that time or a subsequent meeting, but somewhere along the way, I said, okay, what about these appraisal courses you want me to take? Did you still want me to take them? He said, yes. So I was sort of confused as to what was going on in his head. I didn't see, you know, if I was going to be in purchasing, what do I need with appraisal? Maybe he was just putting me there until Freeman left. I don't know, but, you know, he said, yes, take the appraisal courses. So that's why I went down that avenue.
And what I'm trying to get at this point, Mr. Thompson, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to clarify then, when was this conversation you had with Mr. Preston when you say you were assured that you would get the buyer's job? Was it in August 2008 when you applied for the assistant purchasing manager position?
Yeah. Okay. It was August, yeah.
And then around that same time, it sounds like you asked Mr. Preston again about the appraisal courses, and he said,
Right. I didn't make a connection between purchasing and the assessor's office. So I needed some direction on which way should I go. He said, yeah, take the appraisal courses. So I was thinking, well, maybe he's going to promote me over or something.
Did you have any further conversations with Mr. Preston in or around August of 2008 concerning whether or not he was looking at you as a potential successor to the assessor position?
We did not have that particular conversation, but just from him bringing up the conversation or including in the conversation that Mr. Freeman was carrying, that I would be a good fit for the assessor's office. I just basically put two and two together and come up with, well, I want to be the next assessor, apparently.
So would it be fair to say that by August 2008, when you had this conversation with Mr. Preston, you believed you were going to be hired into a buyer position in the purchasing department?
Yeah.
Once it came on?
The assistant purchasing manager's job was something that I did on my own and just basically copied Joey, and it had nothing to do really with the conversation we had back in March. I just wanted to be assured that I had a spot with the county.
And let me just show you exhibit number 9 to help your frame of reference timeline. This appears to be an email, 2 emails, one from you to Joey Preston on August 8, 2008, and one from Mr. Preston back to you on the same day concerning courses. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
When did you become aware that Mr. Preston might be asserting a claim with respect to an anticipatory breach of contract against the county?
When I received a letter delivered to my residence from Hoskins, is his name Hoskins?
Rob Hoskins, right?
Yeah. When I received that letter,
Do you remember if the letter was directed to you, or was it just directed generally to the Anderson County Council, or do you recall?
I think it's just the council.
Do you remember roughly when that was?
September?
Okay. September 2008?
Yeah.
What did you do when you learned of this
I
potential claim?
I was livid, but I calmed down and called Joey and asked him to explain what's going on here.
And what did he tell you?
He explained that we were having meetings, and we had a particular meeting in the conference room. I can't remember if this was a workshop or it wouldn't be budget. I can't remember the subject, but I remember it happening in the conference room at the museum. And Bob Waltrip said that we were going to put Joey or the administrator on leave, and he was going to do that, and he was going to do, I mean, he had a whole list of things that he was going to do after the new council was seated. Joey conveyed to me that that was a breach of his contract, or an anticipatory breach of his contract. And that he felt like he didn't have any alternative to resolve that issue other than through a lawsuit.
Did you, at the time when you had this conversation with Mr. Preston, were you aware that he even had a written contract of employment?
Yes.
You were?
Yeah, I've read it.
Had you read it all before you had this conversation?
Oh, I read it early on when it was one of the first things I asked for when I reported to council back in '05. Give me a copy of the administrator's contract.
And at the time you had this conversation with Mr. Preston, did you believe that Mr. Preston had breached his employment contract with the county in any way?
So are you saying Mr. Preston is the cause of the breach?
I'm just asking, were you aware of anything that caused you to believe that Mr. Preston had breached his contract with the county back in September 2008 when you had this conversation with him?
When I first read the letter, I took it as Joey Preston basically resigning from his position as administrator. That's why I got a little upset. But then I calmed down and called Mr. Preston and asked him to explain what's going on here. And he explained himself, then I was okay with everything. He did not resign. He was just basically protecting himself, and because he was a contract employee, and he was going to, and the people were scheming to oust him. That's just basically what was going on.
Now, you were familiar at the time with the makeup of county council because you were the chairman, correct?
Okay, yes.
Because the claim that he presented, Mr. Preston presented to the county, was that he felt